$4,000 on. So on $455, you'd have made $1,300. All right, on 455. So that means you're almost tripling the money. What else? Nvidia, when we started, was at 361. When I started pushing it back in April, it was 298. Now it's at $553 as of today. Apple did the split. I don't remember what the split was though, Andre. That's why we should have actually had when we did the split. But it's at
Yeah, you did talk about it.
yeah. I don't remember when the split was, but whatever it was is
Um,
now at $114.97.
it was last month.
It was last month? No, it was it was last month they did split,
It was
right?
last month. Look at Miss Dr. Mike is saying yes. It was last month. I mean, I don't act like I'm listening, but
Yeah, I know
I
you.
just
No, I know you always listen over there playing with your hair like a blondie. Oh, it is blonde, right? And a couple others. Let me just a couple of
Woo!
others out there that that we talk about. Tesla is actually going back up now after the 5-way split is at 425 today. Beyond Meat, Beyond Meat. You know what that is? My wife is telling me she's been plugging that one for me.
No, nobody knows what's Beyond Meat. You mean Tesla or
No,
Beyond
Beyond
Meat?
Meat. No, Beyond Meat is like how Burger King started with the Impossible Whopper or the
Okay.
Impossible Burger, that plant based.
Mm-hmm.
So Beyond Meat is like the plant based, the new in thing of plant based, and that is it has skyrocketed. In April it was $108.78 a share. In May, when we start talking a lot about investment and financial responsibility, it was $140.50. Today it's $193.38. So if you just bought one share on $140, as of today, you would have made a little bit over $42, over $52. Now, and I brought that into mind because, and the other one, so people, one of the things that you want to look at, remember a couple of advice that I give, and again, your advice come from your financial advisor. My job is to tell you to look into ways to invest your money. Okay, invest your money in how to become financially independent. So you don't just make money. Like anywhere you're saving money, you're making money. But there are ways to make more money, which is what you want to be able for you to live when you retire, or be able to provide things for your children, whatever the cases are, for yourself, whatever you want to do with it. So make sure that you do that. So make sure that when you create that portfolio, as we've been discussing all the time, is to make it all over the place. And that's where your financial advisor comes. And you know what? You have to feel comfortable with what you're investing in. But the one thing I want to tell you is, don't go in and say, "Oh, I lost $5. Let me sell that stock." Right?
It's about
So
longevity,
yeah, absolutely.
delayed gratification. Like the market goes up and down, but let's move. What else on the agenda? Because stocks.
Yeah, I know that we have a whole bunch of stuff, but that's one of the things that we just want to make sure that we start off like that. There are a lot of things happening in the media, right? And you know, COVID, there's a new surge. If you're in New York, there's certain zip codes, which to me doesn't make any sense, Tawana. You know
Yeah.
why? Because if I live in, say I live in,
11225.
right,
And we
okay,
we supposed to be shut down. So that's Crown Heights. One one
right,
two two five and 11213.
yeah, a lot of them are shut down. I don't even know. I know 30, a few of them. But my point is, if you live in 30 or you live in 25, let's say 25, because 25 and 26 are right next to each other, right? And 26 is not shut down. The schools in 25 are shut down. The ones in 26 are not shut down, but they're neighboring districts.
Yes.
And a lot of children go from one school to the next. What's the point? So either you shut down the city or don't. And I think that's one of my big questions for Dr. Clarke when he comes on.
And also it's like some people shop in different zip codes.
Exactly.
So we commute into different zip codes as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's my question. Like, what is the purpose of? Might as well shut back down the city or have stipulations. And I think, I've spoken to a few teachers, a few administrators, and they're actually on the belief that the schools are going to be shut down. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I'm Jaden go. Oh, you added Dr. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I mean, some daycares are really taking some really great precautions. No outside shoes, no outside anything. They have to change their shoes. There is a lot of precautionary measures that being taken, like you must come with your mask. They're letting parents know, please don't bring anything from the outside. We had to bring in things that the daycare needed beforehand.
Yeah.
um
And some
Passed
people,
by Mega Evers Prep, where I am alumni, and it's like some kids come in and you could see they have them separated and you have them in the cafeteria, but the general pop is not in. It's just a
right.
handful of kids. So if other schools are taking that precaution and not having everybody come in and having blended learning, yes, I could see it happening only if the place is being sanitized correctly and maintenance is being protected as well, and we are all being mindful of how we're handling ourselves. Now, things do fall through the cracks and people do forget. So it's human nature. So the possibility of schools being closed, I will say 75 to 85%, especially with the upcoming flu season.
Absolutely, absolutely. So hello everyone, welcome to the village. This is Roderick Daly and Tawana St. Paul, with our producer Andre Doman, just hanging out with you like we do every Thursday, bringing the information. Remember, our program is all about education, ways to help yourself. We don't do this for you. We give the information to you, and if for you to do something about it. So, you listen to us on a whole many different outlets. Tawana today found out that we're on TuneIn Radio. So go to GD 92.1, GD Radio 92.1 FM, and you plug it in and you keep it there. You have access to that, and there's an app for GD Radio. I didn't know that. So you can download it. Yeah, I did not know that at all. And
so like that's the satellite box radio that I had. So if you buy that radio, it's satellite. You could get it on a satellite wavelength or frequency, however it's done.
All right, and you could also join us on YouTube at the Village Talk Show on YouTube. Andre's making sure that I put that out there. So I know everybody who's on screen, like, who's that handsome man with the beard and that nice gray beard? Who's that guy? So
that's you.
Hey, I don't have no gray beard.
That's
So our first guest of the evening is a very, very, full disclosure, very good friend of mine. We actually went to college together, and yes, I just aged differently from him. I'm just kidding. This is Dr. Michael Clarke. He's a physician out there in Connecticut. You know what? Let me not talk for you. Let's tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Clarke.
Hey, how's it going, folks? Well, it's good to meet you. And again, I'm honored to come on your show. Thank you so much. Folks just call me Dr. Mike, Dr. Michael Clarke. And like Roderick said, we actually went to college together at Haverford College, and had a great time there out in at Haverford. After that, I actually went out to Temple. I sort of stayed local, and went out to Temple Med and had a fabulous time while I was out there. But while I was there, I actually got very interested in primary care. And so I ended up applying to a program up in Montefiore in the Bronx. So I went to the Montefiore program in the Bronx, and I spent some time there and did a chief resident year, my 4th year. But man, did I...
Oh, chief. All right. Hey, you go, boy.
Philly to the Bronx.
That one kind of went over my head, and then when you repeated, I was like, "Okay, you go, boy, for real." Chief.
Congratulations on that. That's a big deal, especially for personal. That's a huge.
Yeah. And at Montefiore, that's one of the biggest hospitals in the Bronx.
Yeah. Montefiore in the Bronx just does wonderful work, and they really are involved in almost every corner of the Bronx. They're fantastic. And then from Montefiore, I came up to Connecticut. It was sort of interesting when I came out of residency. I was looking all up and down the East Coast, and I had a lot of folks who were trying to recruit me. But I went up to Connecticut, and I went to this community health center. And while I was there was this the medical director there was actually trained in Cuba, and I met this guy, and I said, I want to work for that guy. His name was Dr. Malley, and I'm probably going to embarrass him a little bit, but phenomenal doc.
Embarrassing.
Well, Well, no, what happened was, okay, so he recruits me, and I go to I go to Meriden, Connecticut, to work at his community health center, and I'm there like maybe 6 months, and the brother leaves. It's like, what are you doing? No, he actually went to the very next city in Wallingford to start his own private practice, and then actually for myself, about a year later, I also went out to Wallingford, Connecticut, and here I am now with my own practice, Aspire Family Med, out here in Wallingford, Connecticut, and just trying to do some good.
First of all, I want to say congratulations to one as a person of color, because that's one of the things that we talk about, and I do want to touch on that a little bit. But I want to, one, you are a person of color, who own your own business, right? You are, for me, you're at one of the top fields in the United States, where there are not many people who look like you, nor I, nor Tawana, who are at that level. But you know what? That's actually would be my first question. How does that feel? Like I'm sure, I don't know if sometimes we know I am the one in this, or I'm the first this, especially in the area that you're in. What does that look like when you go out to conferences or in Connecticut? How does that feel?
Well, the one thing about it, when you have your own practice, or really any business that's your own, you're going to work. You're going to work very, very hard.
Right.
So when I bought this practice back in 2007, I literally was here 7 days a week for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing as many patients as I could, but I finally did slow down a couple of years ago. And that's an interesting story also too. And it's one of those things that we probably should talk about down the road, because we're talking about healthy lifestyles, and part of healthy lifestyles is being connected socially to your family. You got to have a really good network around you. But here I was working 7 days a week, and I was actually over at my son's place, and he had 2 boys. And the youngest one, his name was Langston, looked at me and said, "Poppy, can you come over tomorrow so that we can play?" And his older brother, Kingston, says, "No, Poppy has to work." And that was the last Sunday I ever worked. Absolutely. I mean, family, again, for me, it made all the difference in the world, and it made all the difference in the world for my mental health, my physical health, to take time off and to spend it with, my two grandsons.
That is actually an awesome story. But I was going back to the question about racial equality or racial diversity within your field, right? What would, like, for me, I'm always concerned that people of color are scared to. Last week, our guest was an attorney, Shirley Paul, and she was talking about if I remember clearly, 4 out of 100 lawyers are Black. Right. And I know the number of doctors are probably even more dismal. Right. I mean, coming out of Harvard, we have a few. I know Harvard is responsible for a lot of doctors, because that was one of the big major at Harvard. But for you being in Connecticut, or being because I also know that you're well traveled. So in your view, what are some advice or some experiences that you've had as a Black male being an attorney right here in the United States?
Well, the thing about like medicine, though, is that it's got to be something that you got to want to do.
Right.
Again, it is just.
We lost. Oh, he's back. Okay. Your volume is gone.
Yeah, I think this is all new to me, so I apologize about that, folks. I probably should do the with that little airplane thing.
Oh.
I'm really bad.
Phone call came in. It's okay.
I'm really bad. It's like I get this phone, I just sort of give it to the kids and say, "Please fix this."
Yeah, that's what I do too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I'm younger than you, so I'm just saying I am bad, real bad. So don't don't even look at that.
But you're gonna find that, though. I mean, like, the thing is that being a Black male, or really any Black professional, you're gonna find that you're gonna stick out. There's no doubt about that. And you're going to work hard, and you have to work hard. And that's the way it's been for me here, in Wallingford. Wallingford is, it's a somewhat mixed community here. But if I walk around the city, I will stand out a little bit. But
you're used to that. We went to Haverford. Don't worry about that.
Exactly. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
not, it's not North Philly. It's not the Bronx. It's definitely vibe and feel there.
Mm.
But Wallingford is, again, great place. I have great patients here, great family place. But you're right, though, whether or not it's in the office, whether or not it's going to be in conferences, we need more, more Black faces out there, Black professionals out there. And so I would say to any young person that's thinking about medicine, yeah, you have to really, really want it. You have to really want to be involved in service. And if you have that love for it, you can do it. I mean, med school is tough, but you can do it if you really love to do it, and you're going to work hard. But work is satisfying.
I mean, you're living proof, and a lot of people don't know. Obviously, you wouldn't know that because he hasn't spoken about it. But Dr. Mike, he didn't go straight through to Haverford, right? So, I mean, he was actually a grown man when he came to Haverford. I mean, Tawana, you also went back. You're going back to school too, and so he went to the military.
Yeah,
he came back.
Shout out to all the BMWs, Black men winning. It doesn't matter at what age.
I mean, he
guys
never,
go
he
and
never
start
gave
your
up.
businesses and do what you have to do. Go back to school.
Absolutely. I mean, like, so I'm part of my reason of bringing that up is our motto is it's never too late to realize your dream, right? Your dream can happen for you at any point. Dr. Mike, I mean, it's funny. We're hanging out. I'm a 19-year-old dude hanging out with a 27-year-old man, and but we're all after the same goal, right? The same goal of furthering ourselves, our family, and how we saw things. And you know what? I want to congratulate you as knowing that you're a part of the military and you did that before you came to Harvard. So I mean, not before you came to Harvard, but before you continued your education, you did a lot of that stuff. So I want to congratulate you on that as well, because you served your country well, and I'm glad that you can see some of that benefit now.
Well, let me just say something about that also, because I want young kids to think that you really shouldn't be limited. So yeah, I did some time in the military, and when I was in the military, I was actually a Chinese linguist, and so it was one of those things that was just a phenomenal experience. I actually went out to Monterey, California, at a place called Defense Language Institute, where basically 5 days a week, for the whole year, we learned Chinese. So this is, again, for all those young kids out there, I mean, don't be limited. And something like a second language, whether or not it's Chinese or Spanish, something like that, definitely grab hold of it.
All right, that is awesome. But want to get to you because I know. I mean, I could talk to you forever. You know that we could hang out and chill. But there's a big thing going on. Well, actually, let's go back. Let's go back to the idea of young people and college and pushing your dreams. So let me start with that first question. Tell us, because a lot of young people have the idea that because you babysat your brother or your sister, that's good enough to put you in the medical field. So tell us, what would you say to somebody who's interested in medicine? Because I'm glad I have you on ear, because there are a lot of young people who really want to be doctor, who really want to be a lawyer, but they don't understand what it will take to become that person. And you talk about working hard, but specifically, what are some things that a 13-year-old, like what subjects, what this, what that, you get, hopefully you understand, like what background would you need to become a doctor or a lawyer, that type of profession?
All right. So yeah, again, going back to high school, I would say be very, very well balanced. I mean, spend time actually in service clubs. I would say, in your academics have to be on point. I would definitely, shoot for and straight A's if you can get it. Take all the advanced college courses and get your hands on. You're talking about the physics, the biology, the chemistry. What you want to do is you want to be over prepared by the time you get to college. And by the time you get to college, again, same thing. Again, when I was at Haverford, I was taking molecular biology. That was my major there. But I also took a lot of philosophy courses. And actually, I never told you guys, that's one of the reasons why I actually went to Haverford, was because I wanted something a little bit outside of my experience. I mean, before I came to meet you guys, you knew that I went to Howard for a couple of years. I was an electrical engineering student there. Then I ended up in the Army. Then I ended up coming to Haverford. But the thing is that when I got there, I had all these experiences, and the thing is, I felt prepared. That's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have all the science you need. I took a lot of math courses. Take as much math as you like. All this, whether or not, again, just science up. STEM, we love STEM. And the thing is, you need that confidence by the time you get to college, that to know that you belong, and to know that you're well prepared. Now, when you get to med school, I mean, that's basically a full-time job. I just called everybody up and I let folks know that I was going underground for about 4 years. That's just the way it was. You wake up in the morning and you're basically there, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're in class all until 7, you study, basically, from 5 to 7 all the way until 1 or 2, and you wake up the next day and you do it again. But again, that's why I say you got to love it, because if you love it, you'll do it. And you'll have a wonderful experience. But the idea, though, is get into the sciences, excel at the sciences, eat it all up, and then just be very well prepared by the time you get to college and into med school.
All right, and one of the advice that I give to parents is that nobody becomes a doctor out of high school. So, as a matter of fact, nobody becomes a doctor out of college either.
Yeah.
So I want parents, like a lot of times I have to, as a school administrator, my son and daughter wants to be a doctor. What school do you recommend? And I try to remind them that you can't be a doctor, you can't be a lawyer. These professions are, as they call them, white collar. Nobody becomes that person out of high school. So that's that's another advice. And you do some mentoring, don't you? Don't you go out and talk to people like within the community and stuff?
Yeah, I definitely did a lot of that. When I was at Haverford, when I was actually over at Temple Med, and when I was in the Bronx, going into private medicine. For my private practice, remember, I was working 7 days a week. That was really tough. So my mentoring and looking out for folks are usually my patients, the young kids that come in here, together with them and their parents. Mm-hmm. And we'll start looking together at colleges, and I'll start telling them what to look for and start suggesting some colleges. And then that's sort of been the mentoring I do. Also, too, I always have students coming in and out of it all the time. So there's always that mentoring, too.
Awesome. So let's just move on a little bit to, T. I think Andre is trying to get to you.
Trying to get to me.
Yeah. So let's
reminiscing. I'm just here like, okay.
I'm just throwing the questions out there.
I'm giving them the opportunity. One of the things I wanted to know was, what was one of the biggest obstacles you faced in this journey, and how did you overcome it? You don't have to get into the details of the exact obstacle, but one thing that we tend to forget, that there is a lot of pitfalls in a success story. But the thing is about getting back up and starting again and moving forward to the goal. So what encouragement would you have for any young person or anybody who's going back? It doesn't have to be young, any human being who wants to accomplish a goal, accomplish a vision, that is facing obstacles and pitfalls right now.
Well, I think a lot of it is actually, again, just being focused, but also, too, reaching out amongst your friends and supporting each other. Because, again, when you go through college, when you go through med school, you don't just do it by yourself. You have to have a group of friends around you. You have to have study groups. You have to sort of be supporting each other through all of that. So that's part of what you have to do. But the pitfall, I would just sort of say, when a person ever starts becoming an island unto themselves, you got to watch out for that. That would be, potentially a pitfall. And sometimes that can happen with ego. You can think, I got this. And that could be a problem. You really have to be, you have to connect to your colleagues, and your colleagues and yourself. The colleagues will pull you through.
All right. I appreciate that. That actually is a very, very, very good question, because I do, a lot of times we struggle with asking for help, right? Asking for help. So let me so let's just move on to the COVID. This is a big thing. Tell me, first of all, let's talk from the local level. How does that look in Connecticut, where you are?
Wow. I tell you, this hit all of us. I mean, there's no way in the world a year ago that I could have imagined this world. There's just no way. There's just no way. I mean, the fact that I'm actually doing something like this, I sort of feel comfortable with because I have to do telehealth on a regular
I
basis.
actually want telehealth.
Oh my gosh. I just remember back in January and February when I started seeing, this sort of pop itself up. And then I started seeing shows, started seeing film on CNN or MSNBC or whatever show. And you started seeing, folks from other countries wearing masks. That just seemed so foreign to me, back in January and February, wearing a mask. Like, what the heck was that? Dude, I have 2 masks in my car. I have masks in my office. It's everywhere. So for just getting used to I guess to this new world and just making sure that we're doing all the smart things that we can do to keep, your staff safe, your family safe, your patients safe. And it took some teaching, some adjustment to that. I mean, again, like you folks are in New York and the stuff that we were seeing in New York on a daily basis, back, like in March and April. Oh my God, that was just, our hearts were definitely there with you. I mean, Connecticut, it was the New Jersey, Connecticut, New York thing. So we all sort of went through that together. But man, have we come a long way.
Yes, we have.
I mean, yeah. I mean, now I remember like the first couple of months, I couldn't believe how dry my hands became because I
washing.
was a maniac. Oh my gosh. But I guess let me just talk about the office here. So even with the office here, we're very, very careful because the thing is I feel responsible for my staff. So even here for the first couple of months, we didn't allow patients actually into the office. We started learning how to do telehealth. If we had to do something.
By the way, can you explain to the audience what telehealth is?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So telehealth is a technology where if I have a computer and you have a computer, I can send you a text. Well, actually, it's even if I have a computer and you have a phone, even I can send you a text and you can click that text, and then we can actually do a visit face to face. I'll be in my office and you'll be in your home or your office or park somewhere, and we can actually do this visit where you're safe. I mean, for a lot of my elderly, that was absolutely critical. There was no way in the world that I was going to bring a lot of my elderly patients, out of the home and into the office. So for them, it's been a godsend, and it's really so surprising, when they feel very proud of themselves when they can actually, navigate getting.
Listen, don't be saying your elderly patient, because that's me right now. I'm proud of myself when I move.
All of us now. That's what it is, though. Telehealth allows me actually to reach patients from afar, through technology, and it's been a wonderful thing and something fantastic to learn. Again, a year ago, there's no way in the world I thought I'd be doing telehealth, and I certainly hope they keep it around. I mean, it really, because here we are, like in an urban town, but I could imagine if you're in a rural area and the nearest hospital is hours away. To me, this is almost something that really should be a technology that we should all carry on from here.
Yes, I think that should be implemented in the medical field moving forward.
Yeah.
I know some doctors would do it like if it was a quick call or it wasn't set up or a quick appointment needed to be done. This is kind of a question like, how is coverage such as Medicare or Medicaid been to assist patients with the new telehealth? I know that Congress had tried to pass something for the COVID relief, the first stimulus package. Has it been able to help a lot of your seniors and people within your community? I know it will be different from those of us who live in inner city, urban areas of Brooklyn and stuff like that, the type of healthcare and big discussion now about Obamacare that we're seeing during the debates. So could you touch on that a little bit? Like give us some insights of what we should be looking forward to. Are we going to be seeing any cuts in the hospitals? Are we going to be seeing are we going to be seeing now institutions saying, well, if you don't have this coverage and that coverage, you're not able to get seen based on the new stimulus and based on the new regulations that are coming out?
Well, I guess the first thing I have to say to that is vote. I would definitely hope to make sure that we actually even have the ACA around, beyond the next month or two. So definitely vote. For the seniors here, the one thing I liked very early on in telehealth and our trying to help them out was that they actually, made a lot of testing free, but they also got rid of a lot of co-pays for the seniors.
Okay.
I hope that's something that that continues. I think that would be fantastic, and I certainly hope that after after November, and if we all do vote, that we can keep the ACA, and maybe even bring in a public option, and then maybe slowly move toward making more healthcare available to more and more and more people.
That's awesome. Let's just talk about the current situation that we have. The president last week, nobody knows when he got it.
Yep, and he won't tell you.
And he won't tell anyone. So which is, I personally, I think is irresponsible.
Yeah, no contact. We're here.
Right. Contact tracing is a problem. But there's a new surge. I want to talk about the new surge a little bit from your perspective. Have you seen a new surge from your patients?
Oh, absolutely.
And in your studies, in your look, because now you have to be, like you said, you have to be far more careful. What are some things that you give to our audience out there about this new surge and being even more? For me, I use the 3 S's, right? So social distancing, staying safe, and sanitizing, right? So those 3. And now this one is not an S, but it's an M, like, so mask up, right? But what have you seen any spike in your area, and what did on the national levels? Because for me, initially the numbers were stagnant. Now it's not, right? Now we have a raise, not the death number, but the number of people catching COVID. So you want to talk about that? One is about the spike, if you personally see it, and what do you want people to do about it?
Well, we definitely are seeing a spike. I mean, the fall is here. Our kids are heading back to school, and earlier you guys were talking about that. I mean, that's been a great challenge, I think, for parents, for teachers, for our cities. But that's a little bit probably why the spike is occurring. In Connecticut, and even New York, we're somewhat lucky. We're not lucky. No, we worked hard, actually. We worked hard to make sure that our infection rate was low. And we worked our best to get that below 1%. So in places like that, you then have options of being able, to responsibly get our kids back into school, where they can learn and socialization and all those wonderful things that school brings. But even with that, and particularly in places where the infectivity rate is above 1%, I mean, you're talking about Texas, Georgia, Arizona, but the infection rate was higher, but yet they opened up everything and they just sent the kids back to school without really doing the right things, the right preparation ahead of time. We saw that spike. And again, we're all connected. If something's happening in Florida, it's eventually going to affect New York. If something's happening in Arizona, it's eventually going to affect Connecticut. And that's a little bit about what's been going on. I had one family that was here where here in Wallingford, it's a really close family. Their daughter was here all summer and did fantastic. I mean, she did all the right things. She made sure she washed her hands, she wore a mask, she made sure that she did spacing with other people, she wasn't in large crowds, and so the whole summer she was fine. All right, so college comes along. She flies down to the University of Miami. And of course, within a week, she was positive, COVID positive. Her roommate was COVID positive. 6 of their friends were COVID positive. And also, too, you got from the very, very top, you have a lot of leaders that aren't being good role models for us. Though we do have some that do wear their mask and are being good role models in Biden and Harris, I'll say.
I got you. I hear you.
Okay.
One thing that I like what you said is that what we do in Florida affects what happens in New York.
Absolutely.
And this is why this was supposed to be called a federal state of emergency.
Thank you.
And where the ball was dropped on the federal level is now trickling. And if we're going to be smart, we're not here to be conspiracy theories, but this is to affect the elections. And the reason why they let the ball drop, like when you really think about it, less people will go to the polls, more infection rates. Right now at my community clinic, I think they probably do COVID testing
Yep.
every Thursdays and Tuesdays. The
Mhm.
line is outside.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
amount of people, and they're coming from near and far to get tested. So just seeing that alone, you know that there is a surge. You know that there is a spike, and we're pick, picking up. But it was a federal state of emergency, and as you said, we need to vote because our lives are on the line. We can no longer sit back and say, "Well, we're expecting the executive office to do what is necessary to make sure the people of America is safe." Even though this is not a debate.
It's
But
We're here. Amen.
so on the same subject about COVID. What are think about health, because part of this is to make sure that people have a healthy life, right? What are some things that a person can do to is there something health wise, not the mask, not the, but we're talking about like food, like
Sure.
what is there anything that people can do to offset or slower or hamper any of those words about COVID?
Well, this is sort of like maybe just more intuition, and that is to take care of your health. Just try to make sure as much as you can, you take good care of yourself. If you have hypertension, keep it under control. You have diabetes, make sure it's under excellent control. You have asthma or COPD or something like that, just make sure you're taking your meds. Make sure that you're well connected to your doctor, so you aren't running out of any of those things. What we don't want to see, if you don't want to see folks, with out of control diabetes, going out into the world and contracting COVID. I mean, they're done. So that's the one thing I would say is just to have folks really make sure that whatever health issues you have, that you take very good care of it, that you're connected to your doc. That's probably like one of the major things I would say that they should do.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Because I think one of the issues that people, they suffer from breathing, right? So like they say, people are, because you see all these athletes, they get it, they recover, right?
I wouldn't say that. What the thing is that I think when you get COVID, I mean, there's going to be lingering effects. We're seeing neurological effects, pulmonary effects. So I would say 10 or 20% of those folks, if not more, are going to have lasting effects.
That's it's funny because I think that was part of the conversation, that we really don't know what the end result of COVID will be, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in terms of recovery. I've seen, like, you watch sports, that shut down sports, and these guys come back, and they're able to, in a short period of time, to come back. And also, before we're coming close to that time, but we keep hearing 14 days incubation period, 14 days. What is it? Quarantining. Is that a real number?
No, it's a number. It's a helpful number. It's a number just to give us some guidance. Again, what we're looking for is to make sure that we aren't going out into society and still shedding virus. So 14 days works probably for about maybe 90% of the cases, but there's still going to be outliers. Folks are going to be shedding virus longer than 14 days. It may end up being 21, it may end up being 30. But the majority of people will stop shedding virus within 14 days.
At what point would you say a person becomes less contagious?
Well, that's it. It's usually right around 14 days you're less contagious. I mean, once you're infected, you're going to actually express symptoms within 2 to 14 days. And once you do start expressing symptoms, you're probably going to be shedding virus, for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. You remember those cruise ships?
Yeah.
The very beginning of all this, if people were still testing positive for virus, into day 30 and 40. And again, that's not the majority of people. The majority of people after 14 days will be fine. I would say like about 90%, but that still leaves 10%. So there's still going to be people who are shedding. And to be honest with you, it's one of those things where if there were more testing, I would, and I knew that I were positive, and I made it through with maybe moderate disease or moderate symptoms, for me to go back to work, I definitely would want a negative test. And I probably would want, maybe even a second test. Because I would want to make sure there isn't like a false negative. But that all comes with what you were saying earlier from the very, very top. The government actually pushing for more testing, making it happen. I mean, that's a critical part of all of what we have to do. Without not enough testing, we're going to have a hard time getting out of this.
So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you as well, because the stigma and the miscommunication about what's going on and how we're supposed to isolate ourselves and knowing who has what. Roderick says he doesn't like the term social distancing. What the term you want to use instead?
Some people are saying physical distance.
No, I say physical. I don't like social because social means interaction.
Yeah.
Now, with the new upgrades to our phones where they put the trackers, is that kind of a violation of HIPAA? Even to the point where some people are saying if you don't get vaccinated, you can't go back. Like, is that a violation of our privacy, our medical privacy?
Yeah, I think that in my humble opinion, that'd be going a little bit too far. I mean, the thing is that what we need to do from the very, very top and amongst ourselves is just basically put out, some general rules that'll keep us all safe. And we've already talked about all of them, about masking, washing your hands, distancing, not getting in big groups, and being careful of getting indoors. But doing something like that would, feels a little too much. I mean, I like having my own personal responsibility and honor to do the right thing. And so I think, that's what we ought to be doing, is modeling the right thing and going that route.
Because I feel like there's so many information being circulated, and with that information, there's misinformation, which is fluent in fear.
Very top.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I have a, because,
Go ahead.
glad we enjoy, thank you for all of the wealth of information that you have given out. The pushing of vaccine, the president talked about, I can't even pronounce his name, remdesivir or whatever. I mean, he said a lot of things, but my question to you, and I heard Kamala Harris say this last night.
Yep, she said it very, very well.
If this vaccine is under this administration, I'm not taking it.
Well, I think the way
Kamala process on a vaccine. Well, let me give you some background why I asked you that question.
Sure.
I understand from a scientific background, there has to be a tremendous amount of research to know what is happening, right? And I feel like the push is just so fast.
Well,
so I'm a little bit biased, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there, Roderick. Right. Well, the thing is that, again, you don't want something pushed out there for political gain. And that's the part that we're going to be careful of. And I think Kamala was wonderful in that she said that she would trust the vaccine. Again, when Tony Fauci or when the scientists, let us know that they've done due diligence. They've actually put together something that they found to be effective, and they've tested it long enough, to know whether or not there are any side effects, whether or not you can contain some immunity. But that's it. We need to listen more to the Faucis as opposed to other folk who have their own agendas that we need to that we need to boot out of there.
Yeah, that's a major question for me. The last question is, I don't know if you know the answer. What's your prediction? We spoke about that the long-lasting effect that we don't know about, right? Do you think that it was something like 9/11 where it will be covered?
Well, it's going to be sort of interesting. I mean, like I think 2021 and 2022 are going to be very, very interesting. And I expect for there to be a series of vaccines to come out. And I expect, that the FDA will be very careful in making companies produce the data to show that these are effective and safe. So somewhere I expect in 2021, for there to be an actual vaccine that I can put in my arm. However, though, there's probably going to be a series of vaccines and different types of vaccines. And there may be some vaccines that you could actually, you may know may work in a particular age group. You may say, this particular vaccine works best for the elderly. These others work better for children. So I expect 2021, maybe the spring, maybe the summer, for vaccines to be available for us. But then the question is, will we take it? I hope we do. Enough of us need to take it. Once we have a proven vaccine, a proven safe vaccine, we definitely need to take it. But even then, I'm wondering, will this be something that we'll have to do every year? We take a flu shot every year, but we have to take a COVID shot every year.
Very interesting. I didn't even think about that. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Mike, Dr. Clarke, I want to thank you for being on. Thank you for your story. Hopefully a lot of people on so many levels that young people are listening to the what it takes to be a doctor. I'm not just saying that I want to be a doctor, but the hard work, and also letting them know and I'm so glad, you can realize your dream at any time. Go back to school, do what you want to do. Don't give up on your dreams. So you didn't, right. And so
I would never give up on your dreams. Actually, when I graduated from Temple Med, there was this one particular story that I thought was phenomenal. There was a mother who graduated from med school at age 50.
Nice to know.
Her daughter graduated the next year. So she was actually able to confer the medical degree onto her daughter. So at age 50, she went for her dreams. So you're never too old. Go for it. Yeah.
I love that story. I want to thank you again. And, we're going to call upon you as an expert, with the field of COVID, see what's happening. And anytime that something happens that you wanted to let us know. So I want to thank you for joining us today on The Village. All right. And it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Again, thanks, folks. And again, thank you for the honor of being on your show. Take care.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching, listening, queuing in, whichever conversation, any way you want to do to be on The Village. We're here with Tawana St. Paul, our co-host, Andrea Doman, our producer. You can catch us live at 92.1 FM. You can catch us on gdradio.org. You can also listen to us while you walk and tune in. You can listen to us on TuneIn, download the app, the radio. There's so many ways to just catch on to the show on YouTube, The Village Radio Show on YouTube. You can listen to us there as well. We're getting more fancy. We're getting out there. So you don't have an excuse. The Village is all about, it's all about, we're dedicated to empowering our community to realize their dream at any point. It's all about your health, your safety, and to live a financially capable life. And also letting you know, as our last guest talked about, realizing your dream at any point. So, and success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? And we're brought to you by the Census 2020. So make sure you fill it out. You have an extension for October 31st, and Grace Family Services, who is there to help the community and have been advocating for the community for a number of years. So Dr. Mike, I want to thank you. And we're going to bring in Dr. I just gave you a title. We're going to bring in Rock Hackshaw to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in the national level, on a political level.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hello, everybody.
Ooh,
Hi, Rod. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
How are you today?
Yes.
I have a pretty co-host test with you. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Rod, it's nice seeing you up and around. The last thing I heard, you had a little health issue a while back, and I hope everything's okay now. Glad to see you up and around.
I didn't say anything about that earlier, but I went to the doctor last night. Tawana, I didn't even tell you this actually when we were meeting. So my cancer levels I think the cancer cell levels at 76, and I gained back. I was down to 117 pounds. And so as of today's Thursday, so as of Tuesday, I'm back at 145. So I gained back over 28 pounds. So thank God for that. So thank you for that. So
Yes, my brother. I wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you. Haven't seen you in a while.
I must admit it's been a while too. I thought when I heard from you probably was going to announce you were going to run for a seat somewhere. I always promise you if you did run for office again. But I've been around. I semi-retired now, but I'm still doing my little political consulting and some freelance journalism, and every now and again I would do a little lecturing at one or two of the colleges or universities. But for the most part, I'm sort of taking it easy. We all have our health challenges as we get a little older, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, I saw that you're sitting and listening to Dr. Mike, so hopefully you took some.
Oh, yes, very impressed, quite impressed with the brother. Yes, very much so. And I hope a lot of kids who are listening will be inspired by his story, and that nothing comes easy in this life, especially for people like us, people of color. And I knew when I went through my college days, I drove cabs, yellow cabs in New York City to put me through Columbia University, and I did my master's at Fordham. And I always tell the story that if you think you're just going to whistle Dixie and these degrees are going to come your way, you better think twice.
Very, very good point. Nothing comes. I always tell. I like to remind people that anything that comes easy is not good. So you have those people who always look for the easy questions, the easy answers.
Yep.
That's not, because that means you're not challenging yourself.
And I want to think that one of the reasons we are watching this president having such a difficult time, and I don't want to go into his moral failings and all that, because I leave that for God to be the final arbiter and judge, who will judge people for what they hold in their hearts and stuff. But he's having a hard time because I think intellectually he had things so easily handed to him, that is, and stuff, that he didn't work hard enough to have been developed enough to really tackle this task of leading this country and this world. And I personally, I feel he has failed us in so many ways. That's just my personal feeling.
Oh,
Caller, you live?
Yes, hello.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to the Village. You're here with Roderick Daly, Tawana St. Paul, and our guest this evening is Rock Hackshaw. Do you have a question for the previous guest or the current guest?
No, I just came on so prior. I didn't know there was something else going on.
Okay.
So should I call back or just stay on the line?
Well, this is the educational. Well, we have the educational hour for the last 2 hours. Then we have the before and after.
at 11.
At 11. Are you looking for Bishop?
I don't know. My sister just gave me this number and said I should have called from yesterday, but I didn't get a call yesterday.
Okay, that's fine. But right now, this is hopefully you stay tuning in. But this is the educational hour.
Okay, I will call. Is tomorrow? What time? Good tomorrow.
I don't know all of the program time, so I can't give you an answer for that. But generally in the evening after 9 or 10.
11. She could call back at tonight at 11.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. My point, Rod, was what you said, that things that really that you sweat, you put some blood, sweat, and tears into, and sacrifices and whatnot. Somehow you cherish them more, you value them more, and somehow you seem to get more out of it too. It's a two-way street, And to me, those who worked hard in college emerge from the experience better people, much better in so many ways,
All right. So, one of the questions for me, there's a big debate last night within the vice president. There was a big debate last week. I didn't want to talk about last week's debate because I don't even know. Yeah. But it was such a poor representation of our country. Last night was a little bit better.
Yes.
Except for everybody has I heard a lot of jokes about the fly.
Fly in the air.
I guess I'll share one. One that said, "Fly, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted." I guess that was the expression of the night. That was, complicated. But let's talk about the debate. Let's talk about some of the issues that were brought up.
Well, you're correct. It was, in terms of quality.
Yes,
it was much better than the presidential debate between Joe Biden and President Trump. In terms of quality, yes. However, it was obvious to me that the Trump campaign, of which Vice President Pence is a part of, their strategy is to interrupt as often as they can, because it looked as though Vice President Pence picked right up from where Trump left off, and every chance he got, he would go into a long diatribe and almost be answering beyond his time, and filibustering to me, and I didn't like that aspect of it, but they got some stuff in that I think was interesting. When Mrs. Harris talked about they're coming for you if you have a pre-existing condition. And I really felt that one, And then when she talked about because Trump is in the Supreme Court right now trying to kill Obamacare once and for all, and pre-existing conditions will go with it. That bothered me a bit. And then the next part, when she said he's put all these people on the federal bench, not one black.
I think it was 54. I think was the number.
Not one black. I mean, you and I like me in terms of our community. We do things in our community. I know you're a teacher and all these things, just like we did, and we get involved community board level and all the other wonderful things we do with kids, and we do it primarily because we know democracy is not a spectator sport, and we must participate. And we try to help develop our youth and our communities, because the more we help develop it, the better it gets for all of us, So we know that. So we get involved in politics, not selfishly to run out there and make crazy money or what. If that comes, we'll take it. But more because we are so concerned about the human condition in general, and also about what's happening to Black youth, given crime situation, etc., that we get involved and we participate. And here we are at this crucial stage where we're watching a president who, in a country where at least 15% is people of color, at least in terms of Black, and if you want to go to Hispanic, well, let's say 1/3 of this country is non-white, could make all these appointments to the Supreme Court, to the federal court, sorry. All these appointments to the federal court, and a lot of them are lifetime positions, and doesn't see within himself that diversity is our strength, that maybe a Hispanic here, a Chinese there, an Asian there, a Native American, and mix it up a bit, because inclusion is what will bring us all together. If I'm seeing diversity reflected on the bench, I would feel some of these decisions being rendered will be decisions that affect me, and I'll be vested. And he doesn't see that. So then when you hear people say, well, this man is racist, you start to really wonder, are they right? I hate to go into people's minds and hearts, and I don't know, sometimes you listen to what they say and you draw your conclusions, but that was disappointing. I think that was the highlight of the debate for me.
I think our guest last week with JB RBG's passing 2 weeks ago. That is a big deal, right? Because the guest last week we were talking about representation. What does it look like for because sometimes it's about understanding cultural values as well. It's not just the race, but like we are both West Indians, right? As a matter of fact, all three of us are West Indian.
Trinidad,
right? Who grew up here in the United States, who were schooled here in the United States. But there's something about me saying to you, I want a roti, right? right? If we say to you, even, whether or not you eat a roti, you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard the story where somebody got pulled over by the cop for drinking a ginger beer because it said the word beer, right? And so if you don't know what a ginger beer is, you're going to think it's alcohol. And, you know, and so there is something to speak about cultural awareness, right? And that's when you go back to the previous debate where he said there was no need for sensitivity training. There has to be a need for sensitivity training. But, you know, so those some kind of comments like,
yeah, like he lacks the pluralistic approach. He
Yes.
lacks the abstract approach that is needed to run a nation that is founded on the Constitution. So right now we see every constitutional value being unraveled before us, and that's why everybody is up in arms against him. And it goes back to what you said earlier about his upbringing. It's that sheltered, you know.
Yeah, it's a
I
privilege.
don't think he had diversity in his inner circle. I don't think he had. You see, one of the things about diversity is you go to school and you go to college, and depending on the schools and stuff you went to, and you met people of different races, ethnicities, nationalities, religions. And trust me, we developed some friendships that even last a lifetime. And so much we learn when they invite us to their homes or whatever. And it makes us better human beings. And I just think he is lacking in that area, you know.
Yeah,
And it's a shame. It's really it's sad. It's sad, Rod.
Yes, absolutely.
I think you have an individual here who in their early lives or in their teenage lives was networking with other people who are on their financial levels of other countries who look like them. It was never networking where you say, oh, these are the people below you. No, these are the servants, you know, these are the service workers. These people help you stay where you are. And you cannot really, that's what you say, you can't blame somebody when they're in their heart, when they're not exposed. And that's the pressure and the implosion that we're seeing right now with him, that
I try not to get
he's
to
only
a place where nearly everybody is racist. You know, you're trying not to get there as best as you can, because you understand, coming back to Ross' piece about cultural sensitivity and all that, and you say, okay, eventually if we expose them and talk to them and engage them and educate them, maybe they will come around to understand what we're trying to do in this country, which is a hell of an experiment where people from every other part of the world has come here to try to make it great and appreciate that and realize, wait a minute, this is something special going on here. But I don't even think that he's there. I mean, I really believe when he said S-hole countries, I don't want to use the word, it's a Christian station, but when he said S-hole countries, that must have told a lot of people where he comes from mentally as it relates to a missing universality of humanity. I don't know if I expressed that properly, Rod.
I think Tawana brought up a very good point where she was saying, like, these people are beneath us.
Yeah.
We have to build on
the working class.
Right? We have to build on. I mean, to find out that the president who touts, I mean, this came up in the debate last night, and you being a political person, to think about that you have a president who touts, I'm a billionaire, to find out that you are broke. Well, broke by that standard, right? You're in debt, $450 million,
and $750 in taxes you paid.
You know, and you write off.
You gotta pay more taxes than him, I'm sure.
Yeah, Roderick, that's go back to what his father, what they put in his head as a child. Like, you are a billionaire, you are rich, you are this, you are that. So this is somebody who lived like this. That's why we're talking about the mental part, because a lot of us ignore that something is mentally wrong.
That's true.
Good point, my dear. Good point. I think the guy needs somebody to step in and say, hey, this is a sick man.
I think Nancy Pelosi is that right now.
Then you got the wives, and then you have this wife who is more from this military, even though people may
see what she wore when she went to that event, and she wore this
Exactly.
That's
So
what
her, the
is that about?
means nothing.
Yeah.
She's over here because of financial gain as well. That's why he's putting the finances of the country before the people, because this is what he's taught. Money first.
All right, and I mean he's touting how he's doing economically, you know, and to me, you know, some of these conversations are unreal. So you know, last few minutes, let's talk about what's going on politically. What do you think? What's going to shape up with the Senate? Do you think?
Well, Rod, you know, I'm a Democrat, so I mean, I try to be one of those independent Democrats, but as a Democrat, I am rooting for us to regain the House and retain or recapture the Senate, primarily because of what I saw they did to Obama, how they treated him, and that was so horrible. And hopefully, if we were to capture the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, hopefully we could get some progressive legislation in there. We could expand on Obamacare, bring the public option, as your guest earlier said, the public option. I mean, Medicare for all, I could live with it, and I couldn't look at the other side of the argument, given that we're in a capitalist country. But definitely, healthcare has to be on everybody's mind as to where we're going with healthcare. You know, you've promised us, as the president and the Republicans did, that they were going to do something about it. They have done nothing about it.
What are you talking about? They did something about the healthcare. They got rid of, you know, they fought every day to get rid of Obamacare. That's doing something, right? They don't have a plan, but the plan is to get rid of Obamacare. So they are doing something.
Millions of people are hurting, Rod. Millions of people are hurting.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know personally how you are dealing with your issues. I know mine. I would be hitting these co-pays, and every time you go for a test, there's another 100 here and a one and all this. I mean, after a while, you know, it adds up.
Listen, I pay $75 a month. I pay $75 a month just to go to the doctor. That does not include medication. Does not include hospital visits or hospital stay, right? And I've been hospitalized 3 times. 3 times. Last time I was hospitalized. So trust me, right? I didn't talk about medicine at all. So let's not. And it's funny because when you talk about medicine, I know I have to take this medication called Neulasta. Right. So Neulasta, for those people, you know, when after chemo, you have to take this medication to help with your bones and whatever the case is after the chemo. Right. That medication, I don't remember the exact number. It's either one of these two. I know it's one of these two numbers. I just don't remember exactly which one it was. It's 1 shot twice a month. So every time I do chemo, because I do chemo twice a month, that 1 shot, it's either $3,000 or $10,000. 3,000 or 10,000. I want to say it's 10, and there's another one for 3. Imagine if you didn't have health coverage. If I didn't have health coverage to take this medication, and the insurance companies sometimes fight against me taking this medication. So last week I went to pick up a medication at the doctor. So I remember I told you I paid $75 a month just for a doctor's visit. Then I paid $35 on one visit to the doctor to get 2 medications. So now just on those 2 things alone, that's $110. And I'm retired. So imagine if I didn't have insurance, how much I would have to pay for these things. And I'm like you, I'm part of that vulnerable population. So I definitely understand the problem and the dynamics of why it's important to have health.
Tawana, my dear, stay young and pretty, okay?
Yeah, yes. That's why I'm working out hard. You see, we were talking about that earlier. I'm trying to do all the preventative measures now.
Yes, absolutely.
High blood pressure running the family, this running the family. I'm like, not me. I bought some weights. I'm working out. I'm even trying to teach my son.
Healthcare is definitely the number one issue, Rod, in terms of politically, you know, for people like us who have been out there in the community doing our political thing, healthcare. And maybe it's the fact that we've gotten older. I mean, when I first knew you were You had a lot of hair in your head. I'm looking at you now. Same barber. When I first met Rod, I think they were teaching then, right?
Yes,
When I
yes,
first met-
yes.
But yeah, but maybe it's because we're older now, so it's more of a concern. But beyond the environmental issues, about what we're gonna do with fossil fuels and all that stuff, and all these hurricanes and mudslides, and beyond the environmental issues, it has to be healthcare and then racism, because that's a whole other issue. And
Yeah.
to me, the Democrats need
Yeah.
to address these things much more so than Republicans, and that's where I come from.
I
So-
mean, that's why I like what you said earlier about how is the future going to look. And with Dr. Clarke stating that by 2021, 2022, we're going to know what type of vaccines. I personally believe as we are voting in these upcoming years, as Roderick always talk about the local, the state, the federal, we need to know what preventative measures are they putting in place for our healthcare. Is more parks, more recreational activities, because at this point
More funding too.
that with COVID, it has even set our communities back another 10 years. So not only healthcare, but our education system as well. What are we going to be doing? What are the legislations are going to be looking like? Are we going to be filling out the census now? How are we voting? Because these choices.
I'm glad you guys are pushing that. I'm glad you guys are pushing that census piece. I've always felt that we as people of color being undercounted in this country anyway. And I remember Jesse Jackson way back when he was running for president. Rainbow Coalition was talking about this undercount. I'll give you a quick story. When Wilson Good, the first black mayor of Philadelphia, was running, they did voter registration drives in the black communities in Philadelphia, and they found where the census tracts and the official numbers were saying, like, in this ward there are 50 blacks. They were finding 50 blacks just lining up, not registered to vote. So after a while, and when you take the story all around the country, wherever you saw a black person running for some office, and you see people coming out of woodwork to be registered and whatnot, and it's always above the census tracts or the projections or what the city hall is saying. And I really honestly believe we have been undercounted in this country for a very long time.
And I want to just say this, right? Look how this man mentality, who is our president, is. His mentality is he's a winner, even if it's not showing that he's a winner. And when you look at his books, and we as a people who know we're winners, like if you compare yourself like somebody, he's just like every one of us. But his
by the way, he's trying to stop the census, the real honest census count, even right now in court. I don't know if you know, Rod, he's right there trying to not let the extension go to. I heard it say October.
He lost that.
He lost it. Oh,
yeah, two federal courts said no.
We have to take our community serious. We have to take ourselves serious. We have to know that we deserve this. And this is why we are at the higher risk also. We're not being counted. We are the higher risk for the death tolls when it comes to dying from heart attacks, diabetes, cancers, colon cancers, because we're not taking the preventative measures. And there's something important that Dr. Clarke said: support. A lot of us, we isolate ourselves when we're going through something. We isolate ourselves when we're facing some mental problem. We isolate ourselves when we're going through something physical. Even if somebody comes to help us, we tend to pull away. And then the stress comes on us, and stress leads to disease because it's distress. And I just hope at this point, at this junction, this is a pivot for our people. I'm very hopeful, and I really hope it's a pivot that we really take heed and do an action, and not just here talking about what we're going to do, and allow people to assist us. Like, I'm going to be honest, perfect example, when Roger got diagnosed and he had to go away, I stepped up, I stepped in there. I told him, when you come back, I may not be able to do it, but look how far we've come from then. Beautiful. And look at him now. So this is the perfect example of support system. And Of course, they're gonna be
Well, my sister, I've known Rod for years, and I really want to see anytime you guys want to invite me back. I am always come and support you guys and whatever, you know. I mean, if you're looking for guests, I'll even recommend some and things like that, because what you guys are trying to do here is important. We got to educate our people as best as we can, not just about living well and taking care of ourselves and whatnot, but other things. I know I got to go. It was nice, and thanks for the invite, and nice meeting you, Tawana, and Rod, my brother.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, caller. You're live. Oh, the caller hung up. Okay, hung up. All right, so last word to tell. Just you got about 30 seconds, Rock. Tell us why you want to tell people to
go out and vote. Educate yourself.
Why should you get out and vote?
Educate yourself on the issues, and because these are decisions that are going to impact on your life. And I mean, we are at a crucial stage. The young lady's right. We are at a crucial point in this country as Black people. Today, they arrested some people who were plotting to do some bad things to the governor. So, because this man had you heard about it?
Yes.
I was just telling somebody.
The governor in Michigan, not in New York. But I mean, the brother's shaking his head, Dr. Edmund Moore. So I mean, I gotta let you guys go. But Rod, invite me back and we'll talk again. It was nice, and thanks for the invite.
All right, God bless. All right, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Sure. Andre said your name is a wrestler name.
Oh, hey, Dr. Edmund Moore.
Wow, why he not coming on camera so we can see him?
Who? Oh, Andre.
I'm running them off.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Moore, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Listen, you lied to me, man. You lied. You lied. You told me that you were this old dude. What's going on? What's going on? What are you eating? You look like you're 30-something years old with a 20. Really? Ohio is treating you more than well over there, Dr. Moore. More than well. How you doing?
I try to keep a lot of meat out my diet.
Well, I tried that. I gained weight when I did. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Village. This is 92.1 FM. Thank you for joining us. We're here. This is the Village. The Village, as you know, it's all about community. It's all about empowerment. How do you live a safe and healthy, financially capable life? They just unplugged.
Success.
It didn't come back yet. Our producer just logged me out by mistake, so we're all good. But letting you know, we're here with Dr. Edmund Moore. Dr. Edmund Moore when I spoke to this brother today. We spoke for about 45 minutes or so. This brother, good evening. I'm sorry. Good evening.
I just had to put it up.
Afternoon. I can't hear. Right?
No, she's messing with you. She's like, Patrick.
I mean, it was like we're just driving. It was great talking to you. It was great talking to you today. Talking about your book. He's an author. He's an engineer. Today it was very interesting. We had 3 powerful Black men on the show today.
MWs.
It was just by sheer accident. It's not that we had planned it that way. But we had, and it's important. So first thing we want to start off with, Dr. Moore. First of all, just give us a little background on yourself. Give us your 1 minute. Tell us who you are, some background information. And FAM University is Florida Atlantic.
Florida A&M, Agriculture and Mechanical University.
Agriculture. I thought it was agriculture and marine, but okay. But all right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Born and raised in Georgia, LaGrange, Georgia. I was raised. Went to school at Florida A&M University. Got 2 undergraduate degrees there. Matriculated to MIT and got a master's degree in engineering. And then I went back to the warm weather of Florida, to the University of Florida. Got a master's and a PhD in material science engineering. And then I went to work in Ohio at right outside of the quaint city of Dayton, Ohio, the funk capital of the world. And I've been working for the Air Force now for almost 30 years.
Ah, you're a military guy.
Nope, civilian all the way.
Civilian all the way. Do you qualify for veterans benefit or no?
Not a veteran, civilian.
Okay, all right, I got you. So engineering. What type of what
engine-
type of engineer are you?
Material science and engineering. That's
Listen, I was going to medical school and I stopped. Sciences, when you go to, I don't know what that means.
Explain it.
So
We do everything from
art students. So what that mean? I'm not an art student, but
do you do ceramics and pottery?
yes. So you provide the materials and the okay.
Right. That's a part of I'm actually a member of the American Ceramic Society. So the largest ceramic is concrete. You drive on it every day. You sit on toilets. You wear glasses.
Got you.
Roderick, we need to look into the concrete stock.
You know what I'm saying? We need to look into that. You know,
and plastics, composites, and metals.
Okay, got you.
So about all that as well.
Is that like you help? So you do look at things for that would go in the airplanes and the Air Force or anything like that, because that's the metal, the plastic, and all those things. Do you look at that or no?
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah, everything that flies and what you're sitting on.
Okay, all right. That sounds like an awesome job. For those of you who are not familiar with some of the schools that that Dr. Moore mentioned, that was the other thing. So, for my audience, people out there, we had two different doctors on. We had Dr. Clarke, who was a medical doctor. Dr. Moore is also a doctor. You can be a PhD, doctorate, EDD doctor. You're still a doctor. So background, and I'm hoping, Tawana, that our audience is.
I was reading this though.
Right. No, that's fine. I'm just saying, if our first guest went to Harvard Temple Medical School, our second guest went to Columbia.
Yeah.
We're talking about a brother right here who went to MIT. So that means at the end of the day, so you and our last week's guest, we're talking about attorneys who went to one went a judge. So the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, your dreams can be realized for people of color, and you can be your own inhibitor because you believe that you can't do it,
or it's hard,
or it's too hard. Not that it's hard, but it's too hard, right? You understand what I'm saying, T?
You just gotta start.
Thank you. The road to 1,000 miles.
The title of my book is How to Get Started. It's not about finishing. It's not about thinking about the finish line. It's about starting. And that's one of the quotes I wrote today. You're in your own lane and you have your own finish time. The same way we had our own birth time. There's no need to compete with anybody else in another lane.
I love that.
Right.
That is actually a very good thought. So, Dr. Moore, like I said, when I spoke to you today, I'm enlightened, and hopefully my kids get a chance to listen to this show to get back and say, hey, I can accomplish great things. I am great. I will be great, and I'll perform greatly. So, Dr. Moore's an author. He wrote a book. So not only this guy an engineer, but he's also an author, right? So he wrote a book. The name of the book is called With a Father's Love, 52 Weekly Letters to My Beloved Daughters. Tell us a little bit why you named the book that.
Well, it was based on my love, and I have two daughters, and I wrote a letter each week to them about a topical subject, it including finances, confidence, engineering. Do you want to be an engineer? Time management, a whole bunch of various topics.
And so how did this become a book? I mean, were these private letters, or how did this become a book for you?
Initially, were private letters, and my promise was that I would write a book just for them, which I did, publish one just for them. And then people in the community heard about it, and they said, hey, you should share this with the general public. And that's where this book came from.
Okay. So when did you write it? How long ago was it written?
2014, 15.
Okay. Okay. How's that going?
How did what?
How's the book going? Like, like now that I mean, I would love the opportunity. This is for me. This is great for me, right? It's great for me. I think one part of the conversation is that I had with you today was like, well, we're doing the show, so you want to archive it. So in terms of your thoughts on this book, how did it get your thoughts out? I mean, how did it work out for you? Like, like did it?
Yes.
Thought it was.
Yes, they got the thoughts out. And surprisingly, a lot of other people appreciate it as well. I just gave away 20 copies to a bunch of group of young ladies, and they're going through the books. I've actually had people who have been taking their daughters through it, a chapter, a letter at a time. So it's been pretty interesting. The feedback.
That's what go ahead. The feedback.
The surprising thing is some of the young men that say, "Well, where's our book?"
I was thinking, what? That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking. Sorry, Tawana. I was thinking that. Yeah, go ahead.
Come on, like y'all gonna get your books, mama love letters. Y'all get
yeah. You're saying, So you're saying the brothers Jackson, where's their book? So
yeah, I've had the feedback as well. Yes. So,
but I think you spoke about. Not, I know you spoke about the topics on the book, right? Finances. You spoke about a father's love. I have 5 boys, and I love all 5 of my boys. And I'm learning the hug thing. That was a little hard thing for me, but I'm learning the hug thing. Today, my son came down the stairs, and he gave my youngest son. He just warmed my heart. He just came down and he met me at the top of the stairs. And he just gave me a big fat hi, daddy. Mwah. Right. So, love is love. And I think like some of the things that you're talking about, it doesn't matter if it's male or female.
Right. And one of the chapters is a hug a day.
Right.
That was one of the chapters.
I knew that. That's why I threw that.
Okay. I figured.
So why is a hug a day so important?
We all need physical touch, and it's probably going to be more important seeing that we're isolated.
Right.
That's probably the biggest issue now with COVID-19 is everybody's isolated, and you can't hug. So if you're not getting the hugs from your family members, who are you going to get them from?
That is a very good one.
Every morning.
Yeah, I saw I just saw it on TikTok this morning. I can't remember the kid's name, but TikTok. I actually was looking at it this morning, and what popped up was this brother, young kid, a teenager, and the idea was hug every member of your family and see how they felt about the hug. And his brother was about his age, or I'm assuming is his brother, right? He gave a brother. At first, the brother was like, like back off me.
Right.
But eventually the brother reached around and grabbed his brother and returned, so the hug was not unrequited. It was immediately returned to him. So, and then as he hugged everybody, the expression on their faces began to change. And so a hug a day, and we talk about the importance of hugging.
Yeah, physical touch is very important. That's why they put people in isolation to punish them in prison.
Right. Yeah. And a certain.
I always bring up the word when you don't like the word social distancing.
No,
but that brings me back to that thing. When you say social distancing, it's saying like you don't want us to socialize, you don't want us to integrate, and then the mind is thinking what the words is saying, and that's why we're having this problem right now where we are going to have a lot of babies. We're having a lot of babies because people are not being able to touch. So the first time you see, you want to touch, and that's human nature, and that's what we're made to do. So we cannot ignore that fact. One thing I wanted to ask you is how do you encourage fathers who aren't able to play a role, especially fathering young African American women in such a turbulent time? What advice do you have for fathers?
I would add male. I would add both males in there too, Tawana.
Okay, man, honey. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would say you really have to meet them where they are, and you have to talk to them, and you cannot talk down to people. You have to talk with them, and sort of lead them and show them why it's important. Have them reflect back on themselves about their experiences growing up and everything. Did people talk? How did people treat them? A lot of times they are acting because they weren't treated a certain way, and they wish they had been treated the right way. And so if you can get that into their mind, then they will be more likely to say, I think I need to get more into my daughter's or my son's life.
I think, you know, and also I think the bad talking doesn't help either when you try to pin one child against the other. I mean, have the child pinned to get one parent against the other, like you overtalk. Your father was this, your father was this, or your mother was this, your mother was this. Like, you know, like
Yeah, that's bad form. Is talking about your significant other or ex-significant other. That's just bad form.
Yeah,
because you just create separation and confusion.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, and it's almost like sometimes you want to build a kid only to your side, and then you move the kid away from the other parent because you just want loyalty to you, and that sometimes is problematic, you know. And I think that's also one of the things, Tawana, that when you ask that question, that I think about, like, I need loyalty to me, and I don't want to make it seem like it was my fault that this relationship didn't work. Or you know, sometimes two people that's it.
Yeah.
That the child is not loved by both parents equally.
And that's something that's happening now during this time as well.
Yeah.
People are separating because they realize, like, look, we can't do this together in the house anymore. But I really think your book is going to touch on a lot of habits, generational habits, and break a lot of generational curses. And the thing is that a lot of us young women who were fatherless, or our father was absent, or for whatever reason, these letters we can take into ourselves. We could read it and say, okay, look, here is a structure. Here is a father talking to me. Here how God has provided a level of support. And I'm really interested. I put what I said. I think I'm about to go purchase this right now because I really want to get into it. And I think this is a great girls group, a great girls ministry, even empowerment group. I think this is great. Love letters to my daughter. I think this is very beautiful. If I make sure I get the name right.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll get it. So I have we have about 5 minutes left, and so I want to get one. So let's talk about the book itself, right? So I want to address three things. One is the love. Either love lost, love gained. You know, did the book was the book inspired by love lost, love gained, or anything in there but the idea of love, and how important is it for you to express this love through print, right? That's one. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, and I don't think, unless there's something that we want to talk about. Two, you talk about time management and why is this important. A lot of people lack time management. Why is time? I mean, you're a military guy now. I mean, although you're civilian, you're still a military guy. So time is, but when you talk about time management, a lot of us lose things because we're procrastinators and we wait for the last minute to do things. So when you talk about time management, look at Tawana pointing at herself. When you talk about, give us some advice. So all of this is about advice right now, because we want to know, why should we pick up this book, right? So when you're talking to the audience out there, why should you get the book? And the last thing is investment, because we've been touching a lot on the investment. So the three thing is, I want to pick up this book when we talk about love, because I want to pick up this book when I talk about time, you get advice to do this, blah, blah, blah. Take it away.
Wow. Well, the first letter I had was, turn that off, was about unconditional love. That was the first thing, that I will always love you. And I think that's the basis for any relationship, is you have to establish that, so you can have that trust and open communication. The thing about time management, if we want to segue to that one, is, as Tawana said, you got to take that first step to build something that you want to accomplish. In reality, you got to vision what you want to accomplish, and then take the steps to get there. And you don't want to take that step towards going to the goal and not know where you're going, because you might be going the opposite direction. So, but time management is important, because a lot of times we tend to wait to do things at the last moment, and then we rush it, and it's not to the best quality. Whether it's school work or it's even your work on your employment. So it's just a bad habit, not having time management.
But tell us what it looks like. What does time management look like? I get it. I know that I do understand the importance of that. Before I forget, I just want to let you know that a couple of our audience members, they love the ceramic story. And this is, congratulations to the school. And they talk about, they love the idea of a hug a day and how important it for, and as Tuan also pointed out, she says she hugs her child every morning, which is children need to feel,
every morning.
yeah, to feel that it is all, it also teaches them.
Mommy hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what does time management look like?
Well, one of the habits I picked up from my father was he always made lists about what he wanted to accomplish in the day. And as the day went on, he would strike out what he wanted to accomplish. So I know my brother and I have sort of developed the same habit. So now I wake up, when I get up in the morning, go at night, I put together a list of things I want to accomplish that day or the next day. And there are certain things I know I want to accomplish in the morning and certain things in the afternoon. And so I sort of work my way through that list to make sure I'm achieving the goals I set for my day.
I think that's, when I do lists, I don't do that part,
Mhm.
which is what time of the day that I want to accomplish it. So I might put something down that says that says I want to get something done, and sometimes I don't get them done because, you know what, I didn't say I want to get them done in the morning, in the afternoon, or before I go to bed. And I think that's actually a brilliant advice.
Well, one of the things too about time management is everything ain't a priority. So you might put something on your list. It really shouldn't be there. It's not something you have to accomplish that day, but you put on the list because sometimes we like an easy win. We just want to get something accomplished. For Father's Day, my daughters gave me a book called Make Your Bed. And it was from the guy that was over the SEALs, Admiral McChrystal, I think his name was. And his whole thing was, if you make your bed every day, you've accomplished something to start your day.
You're saying that. I asked my students when I taught, how do you feel when you make your bed and you go home and see that bed? It changes your psyche. So you know what? I've never seen the book, but I believe in making your bed. That's very important.
Yeah, me too.
Very short book.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Short book. I hear you. And the last one that I asked you about, which is why is, because we do spend a lot of time on financial investment.
Oh, well, on that one, I put actually 4 letters will cover that area. First one was about being financial savvy, but then I put 3 letters in there that was building your financial foundation, part 1, part 2, part 3.
I got you.
So it goes from what the purpose of money is to investing, to having insurance, to do you have trust wills, power of attorneys. So it covers that whole gamut of information, and talked about giving money to charitable organizations, to your church as well. And so it covered a lot of area in that. That is awesome. How do if somebody wants to get in touch with you, or if they want to get a copy of your book, how do they do that? The easiest way would be to go to my website. That's Edmund, EDMUND, H Moore, MOORE.com. And you can get the books through my website, available through Barnes and Nobles, Kindle, and Amazon. And my social media sites are there as well on there. The links to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So that's EdmundHMoore.com.
I'm going to really enjoy reading this book. I'm telling you this right now.
I'm actually going to get that book too.
Well, thank you.
We're going to have a book club at the village. So everybody, please go order the book. And we're going to start a book club. And every probably other week, we're going to talk about one letter of that book.
I think
that's how we get them to go buy my book and Andre book, Roderick. Don't interrupt.
No, I agree with you. I think All right. Dr. Moore, it's been a wonderful pleasure meeting you both in person, and the conversation we had today. And the, like I said, the audience loved you. And I think that's a great thing. And I think this idea to show, for me, what I got from this is continuously show love to our children and making sure that we try to prepare them to the best of our ability. So I got that out of it, and I definitely want to take a look at that. So you might see me popping up online ordering that book today. What's the cost of the book? Or you don't know?
I think it's $15.99 for the hardcover, and I think it's probably about maybe $6 or $7 cheaper for the Kindle.
Okay, all right. So you got that. So and just for the record, before we let this brother go, he's a black man. He's entrepreneur. We talk about that. Success is not just spoken; it is done. He's doing something. So let us help him to get along. God bless you, Dr. Moore. It's been a pleasure to have you here on The Village.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Tawana and Roderick. I enjoyed myself.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a little bit of a song. We're only going to be able to play a little bit of it for you. I give them all to you. It's performed by one of our listeners out there. So you're going to get a small version of it. And here we go.
Is it playing?
Not yet. I don't know. So
I hear that.
Oh, we can't hear it. Oh man.
Why not? Is it on YouTube? I asked you.
No, it's on Amazon.
Oh, we have to purchase it.
No, well, Andre have his account. All right. Well, we can't. I'm sorry, and so
let me see something. Because you send it to me, so let me see something. We're not gonna give up. Remember what we say. We got 1 minute though.
Got 1 minute.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I said it again. I'm you know what, in lieu of my first song, because we literally this is our time, and that we're gonna play it at the beginning of our show next week. All right, so we're definitely gonna get that and ironed out. All right, so God bless every one of you. Thank you for joining us right here in The Village, where it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about all of us making the community stronger. We're right here. We're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. God bless. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Shout out to all my BMWs, black men worshiping, black men winning, and right here.